Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So it's chapter 7, text 19. Bahunam janmanam ante. Bahunam janmanam ante. Jnanavan mam prabhadyante. Jnanavan mam prabhadyante. Vasudeva sarvam iti. Vasudeva sarvam iti. Samahatma sudurlabha. Samahatma sudurlabha. Bahunam, many. Janmanam, repeated births and deaths. Ante, after. Jnanavan, one who is in full knowledge. Mam, unto me. Prabhadyate, surrenders. Vasudeva, the personality of Godhead. Krishna. Sarvam, everything. Iti, thus. Sa, that. Mahatma, great soul. Sadulabha, very rare to see. So I'll read the translation purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. So if we can repeat, after many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Purport. The living entity, while executing devotional service or transcendental rituals after many, many births, may actually become situated in transcendental pure knowledge that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate goal of spiritual realization. In the beginning of spiritual realization, while one is trying to give up one's attachment to materialism, there is some leaning towards impersonalism. But when one is further advanced, he can understand that there are activities in the spiritual life and that these activities constitute devotional service. Realizing this, he becomes attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and surrenders unto him. At such a time, one can understand that Lord Sri Krishna's mercy is everything, that he is the cause of all causes, and that this material manifestation is not independent from him. He realizes the material world to be a perverted reflection of spiritual variegatedness, and realizes that in everything there is a relationship with the Supreme Lord Krishna. Thus he thinks of everything in relation to Vasudeva, or Sri Krishna. Such a universal vision of Vasudeva precipitates one's full surrender to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna as the highest goal. Such surrendered great souls are very rare. This verse is nicely explained in the 3rd chapter, verses 14 and 15 of the Svetasvatara Upanishad. In the Chandogya Upanishad, it is said, Na vaivacho na chakshumshi na shoratrani na manam smityakshate prana iti evakchakshate prano hi evatani sarvani bhavanti. In the body of a living being, neither the power to speak, nor the power to see, nor the power to hear, nor the power to think is the prime factor. It is life which is the center of all activities. Similarly, Lord Vasudeva, or the Supreme Personality, or the Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, is the prime entity of everything. In this body, there are powers of speaking, of seeing, of hearing, of mental activities, etc. But these are not important if not related to the Supreme Lord. And because Vasudeva is all-pervading and everything is Vasudeva, the devotee surrenders in full knowledge. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Shivam Swami Nityanamane. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Nityanamane. So, when I read the purport of this verse, I can see that Srila Prabhupada has actually given a step-by-step guide to the highest goal. So we can see here in the purport, and I'm just going to go through the purport and perhaps extract and emphasize certain points, and you know, we can kind of discuss this together as well. But we can see that Srila Prabhupada has given like a very nice step-by-step process. He first explains that a living entity, after many, many births, actually Krishna is explaining this, that after many, many births, one then comes to actual knowledge, which is surrendering to Krishna, which is surrendering to Sri Krishna. And that can only be attained actually after many, many births. And then Srila Prabhupada explains even more specifically in the first sentence that while executing devotional service or transcendental rituals after many, many births, they may become situated in transcendental pure knowledge. And that transcendental pure knowledge is the understanding that Krishna is the ultimate goal. And so only after many, many births, after doing certain pious activities or certain rituals, or even practicing devotional service, maybe tinged with motivation, that's not pure devotional service, after many, many births, living entities then come to the understanding that Krishna is the ultimate goal. So we can understand that there are so many religions, there are so many different practices within the Vedas and without, outside, and there are so many, mental speculation of religion and practices that go on. Like in the West, there is a big push for mindfulness. I don't know. Has anyone heard of mindfulness? Yeah, just one. So there's a term. If you haven't heard of this, there's a term called mindfulness that in England and in America. And even in Europe, there's this practice called mindfulness, and it's a very watered down aspect of Buddhism, actually, yeah, like an impersonal meditation, sort of sitting and just becoming aware of one's self within the body, and maybe not even that deep, just becoming aware. So there are so many of these practices happening, even outside of the Vedic practices. So people are searching for something, all of us are searching for something. And Srila Prabhupada also explains that when one is trying to give up attachment to materialism, yeah, so in the beginning, we're trying to give up our attachments to materialism because, why? Because after so many times of trying to enjoy in this material world, or try and just live in this material world, we become frustrated. Has anyone gotten frustrated with this world? Relationships, hands up if you don't mind. Yeah, just, you know, even just trying to form genuine relationships is difficult because people have their own attachments and they have their own mind and they have their own karma and they have their own you know, conditioning, and we just can't get it right. Like, we just can't get it right in this world. And so out of this frustration, the kind of longing for something more comes, right? In the West, we have so many, well, everywhere, you know, in ISKCON, we have so many events, so many preaching activities to bring people into Krishna consciousness, to help them find the true taste. And there are so many people searching for it. And those people that come, you know, you don't know what they've done in their past lives to actually come to the point. You know, we don't know what we've done in our past lives to come to this point. But after, it says here, Krishna is saying, after many, many births, so we've had to actually advance through many, many births to come to this point. So again, Srila Prabhupada is explaining that in the beginning, living entities try to give up the attachment, yeah, to materialism. And within that, there is a leaning towards, Srila Prabhupada says, there is a leaning towards impersonalism. Yeah, that leaning towards impersonalism. What is impersonalism? Impersonalism is sort of renouncing everything, detachment, yeah, and attaining, you know, liberation and just the bliss of being in nothingness, yeah. And, you know, this is where sort of mindfulness also kind of comes from, the kind of impersonalist philosophy. But, yeah, you know, living entities are we're trying to kind of reject. Yeah, in the beginning, we get frustrated, and so we say, okay, I'm just going to renounce. And, you know, you see many people from the West going to Rishikesh and Haridwar just to kind of sit, you know, at the Ganges and the Himalayas. And that's great. At least they're doing something. But it's at a kind of like a lower stage. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada is explaining. So there is a leaning towards this impersonalism. I just want to have a break. I don't want any of these attachments. But Srila Prabhupada says, when one is further advanced, he can understand that there are activities in spiritual life and that these activities constitute devotional service. So then from that stage, when it goes into impersonalism, on trying to detach from the world, if one has the special mercy and is in contact with devotees, they can then understand that actually it's not about detaching from the world, it's about engaging what we have in the service towards Sri Krishna. So, and that's bhakti-yoga. And Srila Prabhupada, well, Rupa Goswami explains this in the Nectar of Devotion. Yeah, yukta vairagya. Vairagya means renunciation. Yeah, so impersonalists want to renounce the world. Yeah, but yukta vairagya is proper renunciation. Proper renunciation is not just the external renunciation. Proper renunciation is the internal renunciation. That internally, I don't have any actual connection to the material world. This doesn't belong to me. But I can utilize everything in Krishna's service. And that's proper renunciation. So then we can live in the material world while engaging in life, but with the internal intention of offering everything we have to Krishna. And so that is the further advanced stage in spiritual advancement, Srila Prabhupada is explaining. So then when one understands that these activities constitute devotional service in this way, then that's a further advancement. So then Srila Prabhupada explains that realizing that I can actually be in this world, I can use everything in the service to Krishna, Srila Prabhupada says that he becomes attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and surrenders unto him. So through this engagement, through bhakti-yoga, through engaging our senses, through engaging everything that we have in service to Krishna, we actually realize, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we become attached to him. Because it's through that service that Krishna actually reciprocates, and through that reciprocation we actually understand that there's a relationship here, and then we become attached, And attachment is, it's an aspect of relationship. So for there to be attachment, there must be a relationship. So through that service, a relationship forms, and then attachment develops, and then surrender comes. And then after that, we have realized that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and I become attached to him, and I want to surrender. Then at such a time, one can understand that Lord Sri Krishna's mercy is everything, that he is the cause of all causes, and that the material manifestation is not independent from him. So then what happens is our vision changes. So our vision changes because then we see everything in relation to Krishna. We see everything as Krishna's mercy. We see that Krishna is the cause of everything. So with this attachment and this surrender through devotional service, we begin to see the truth. We begin to see that actually everything is related to Krishna. Krishna is the cause of everything. We begin to see the material manifestation is not independent from Krishna. So, when we see other living entities, we see the trees, we see, we see that even the different other animals. We can see that in that living entity there's a soul, and that soul is also connected to Krishna. When we understand that we're the soul, we have a relationship with Krishna, then we begin to see that everything is connected to Krishna. And we begin to also see that there is a higher intelligence that has created this material manifestation. Like if you see, like there are some things that you actually cannot really, if you really think about it, just using our intelligence, our mind, that we can't really understand. Like for example, if you take a seed and you plant it, and that a creeper grows, and that grows into a full-blown tree, which then grows flowers and fruits. Within that fruit, there's hundreds of seeds that can be planted to make another 100 trees, that then produce fruit, that then produce seeds, that then produce another 100. Who's done that? How can from one seed there be multiple trees and fruits and seeds and trees and fruits and seeds? There's a higher intelligence. So when we begin to become attached to Krishna and surrender to him, then we can see everything in relation to him, and actually we can see everything as being so wonderful. And I can take the human body for an example as well. So I work in mental health in England, and a lot of the work that I do is healing trauma, healing past trauma. And I often say to my clients that I have to help them to understand that the mind and the body are actually self-healing. So if you were to cut yourself or get a paper cut, has anyone ever got a paper cut before? It's like the most painful, even though it's the most tiniest. What happens when you get a cut? Bleeds, and then what happens? Pain, and then what happens? It heals, right. So when you get a cut, it bleeds, yes, but what's happening is the white blood cells are rushing to that area. Now, who is instructed that to happen? If we have that vision, Otherwise, we don't think about it, right? We just put plaster on it, and in a few days, it's healed, okay. It's like, but actually, if you look at it, who is instructed? We can't even see it. We don't have to instruct. We don't have to, you know, sit in meditation and do anything. It's just the white blood cells come and it begins to heal. In the same way with mental health, the mind also, believe it or not, is also trying to self-heal. It is trying to always to self-heal. But that's why we move away from pain, and we're always trying to search for happiness. Actually, it's the soul inherently trying to search for happiness. But even with mental health, when I work with trauma, when I do certain therapies, I don't have to actually do anything, but the person is coming to their own closure and healing and understanding of the problems that they've been through. They come to the conclusion on their own. I just facilitate. But I have to remind them, look, you know, this, you will move out of it. It's just about how, and I'm guiding you, but you know the answers. So, and it happens, you know, people come to a place of contentment, relatively speaking, but because, and so the point is that this material manifestation is not independent from him. So if we really analyze it, you know, how are all those things happening? It's because it's all connected to Krishna. Krishna is the cause of all causes. He is the essence and everything. Yeah. So that's there. So then Srila Prabhupada says that he realizes the material world to be a perverted reflection of spiritual variegatedness. So this we understand it to be that there is a spiritual realm, which is not expanded in this verse, but in other verses it will be, in Srimad Bhagavatam it is. But there is a spiritual realm, and this material world is just a reflection of it, a perverted reflection of it. And I won't go into this in too much detail, but this is how we begin to see things. We begin to see that the material world is actually not really where we're meant to be. And if we understand that we're the spirit soul, then, and this material world is predominantly matter, then we understand that, oh, this is not where I'm meant to be. This is a reflection of the spiritual realm, which is actually where I'm meant to be. Yeah, so Srila Prabhupada explained that we realize these things. And realizes that in everything there is a relationship with the Supreme Lord Krishna. So again, sort of same thing as I'm saying, that we begin to see that there is a relationship with Krishna in everything. And that also, that realization fuels our service as well, because when we're serving, again, like I said, yukta vairagya, we're serving with proper renunciation, utilizing everything in Krishna consciousness, then if everything has a relationship with Krishna, then it all can be used, you know, in Krishna's service. Thus he thinks of everything in relation to Vasudeva or Sri Krishna. Yeah. So again, it's really about how one lives. It's how one sees things and how one thinks, and sees everything in relation to Krishna. So nothing is separate. And that's pure knowledge. Yeah. And Srila Prabhupada says that such surrendered great souls are very rare. Such surrendered great souls. Yes, Srila Prabhupada has explained that these souls that have this vision and have this surrender are great. Yeah, and they're very rare. Yeah, but it's possible. Otherwise Srila Prabhupada wouldn't have gone to all that effort if it wasn't possible. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada says that impossible is... I've forgotten the sentence. Do you know? Impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary. What's that? So, yeah, it's rare, but it's also possible. So, the other thing that when I was reading this verse, I noticed that in this whole purport, Srila Prabhupada has used the word. And I like to kind of read each sentence and try to understand why Srila Prabhupada used that word, why Srila Prabhupada constructed that sentence in that way. Because everything that he says, it's with a purpose. There's a reason why he's used that word. There's a reason why he's used that sentence. And I noticed that in this purport, he's used the word realize and understand 7 times. And it's a really short purport. It's only 1 page. Right? it's only one page of a purple, but he's used the word realize and understand 7 times. Yeah? Why do you think this is? I'm going to ask you guys. Why do you think he's used the word realize and understand so many times? Anyone? What does the word realize mean?
Realize when we engage in a devotion service actually, in the beginning and the time passes actually,
Yeah.
the service, then we realize there is a supreme personal God actually.
Yeah.
We realize ourselves actually.
Yeah.
Sometimes actually our works are done automatically actually.
Mm.
So this is the realization actually.
So, yeah, you use the word automatic. Automatic, yeah. So,
what is there the supreme personal God and look after us actually.
Mm-hmm.
Works are done automatically.
It's done automatically, yeah. So the Supreme Personality Godhead looks after it.
Physical work actually, spiritual connectivity with the Lord actually.
Yeah.
These are done automatically actually.
Yeah.
When we take a step, one step forward toward the Krishna or Srila Prabhupada actually, this Srila Prabhupada or the spiritual Godhead, they all steps are 100 steps
100.
for us.
So we step once and they step 100 times toward, if you didn't hear, 100 times towards us. Can I ask you, how do you know this?
Because we realize, not that instantly, we realize after so many times actually, for 1 or 2 months or year also, it takes realization to. It takes time actually.
Takes time.
Not immediately.
Yeah. Yeah. So so you're saying, from what I'm understanding, is that this realization happens automatically, and over time it's not immediate, but
Not immediately.
months, years, it will happen.
It takes time.
It takes time.
Then we realize that, at that time actually the Krishna was with me actually, he made so much arrangement actually.
Yeah. So then, right. So then you're able to kind of look at your life and see how actually, this was Krishna's arrangement. Actually, it was something that was good.
Only you remember Krishna only.
You remember Krishna.
Only remember Krishna, and nothing else actually. The Lord is automatically attracted to you. And this realization is not immediately. When all the works are done, actually, then we realize these are done without my any efforts actually.
Yeah.
Simply chanting.
Yeah. So it's a really nice point that you're making, because you use the word automatic, and realization or to realize means to become aware, to become fully aware of something as a fact. That's what to realize means. To realize that one becomes aware. So to realize, it means that your consciousness expands, to understand something as fact. So, and this use of the word automatic is really good, because it indicates that it happens without any effort necessarily, any kind of scientific experiment, this and that. It happens. The consciousness, your awareness comes about. So Srila Prabhupada is explaining these stages, that in the beginning, after many, many births, one is, wanting to detach, leaning towards impersonalism. And then comes to the realization or the understanding that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate goal. So, and after that, one then understands that spiritual life and spiritual activities is actually devotional service. Yukta Vairagya, like I said. So these things just automatically, this word is nice, you become aware. Because again, we're advancing spiritually through many, many lifetimes. So it's not going to happen immediately.
For such thing, actually, don't give credit to yourself. You have to give credit to the Lord Krishna.
Yeah.
Because of the Lord Krishna, everything you are doing good in relation to the Supreme Personality Godhead, means that credit is only goes to Supreme Personality God,
Yeah.
not to yourself.
Yeah.
You have to think like this.
Mm. And that.
If you think that actually this is because of me, then it will be false ego.
Yeah. And again, yeah, that's a nice point, because then that comes into the point that Srila Prabhupada is making here, that one begins to see everything. One begins to see everything in relationship to Krishna. So this use of the word realizing and understanding, realizing, it shows that Krishna consciousness is not, Krishna consciousness is not something that we just follow rules and regulations, and we just externally do things. We don't just externally just come to the temple and chant, come to the temple, come to Mangalarti, or we just read, or even that we just sort of memorize verses. We just memorize. We don't understand anything, but we just memorize them, and we, like a robot. Like, this is not the practice of Krishna consciousness. The practice of Krishna consciousness is real. It's real. It's deep. Yeah. Realize also means to have a deeper awareness of something. It's not just theoretical. It's not just theoretical knowledge that, oh, okay, I understand this and this and this, and then it's like a formula. It's that we actually deeply, it comes from the heart. Krishna actually allows us to understand these things and realize these things. Because, why? Why does this happen? Because it's the soul's natural progression. That's why. Because ultimately, the soul is spiritual by nature, right? And Krishna is transcendental to the material world as well. So we're transcendental. Ultimately, we're transcendental to the material body, but we haven't realized it. We don't know it. But so, why is it that Srila Prabhupada is explaining so nicely these stages, that we realize this, and then we realize this, and then we understand this, and we realize this, and then we come to the ultimate aim, which is realizing that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and I surrender to Him. It's because it's inherent anyway. Like, we don't need to do anything. We just need to engage in the process, and these things actually just become revealed, because it's the soul's natural state to begin with. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's why, and scientists are not going to be able to, really be able to get this under the microscope and understand it scientifically. And, we may get asked, okay, well, what's the proof? How do you know? And again, these questions by people are all sort of on the mental false ego level, actually, because a lot of religions or other understandings of God is out of fear. It's so much based on fear that why should I surrender? Like Srila Prabhupada is saying, such surrendered great souls are very rare. But some people might think, why do I want to surrender? Like, why would I want to surrender to a Supreme Personality of Godhead? Why would I want to do that? We may not understand. Maybe people here may not actually be able to understand that, because actually maybe you all are quite pious. But there are people that don't want to surrender. Because their concept of God is out of fear. Out of fear. If you don't surrender, if you don't abide by this, then you'll be punished on Judgment Day. This, and this. Yeah. And that's unfortunate, that's unfortunate. And because of this concept that they may have grown up with, or actually, all bona fide religions are true. It's actually when human beings infiltrate and try to control through these religious texts. But all the bona fide religions are valid. But it's when, certain people have grown up with this concept of God I should fear God. All these questions come up. Why should I surrender to someone that, where all these bad things are happening in the world and people are being killed and murdered and war and, why? Why should I surrender? But it's unfortunate. It's an unfortunate misconception of God. And we're so fortunate that we have Krishna consciousness, and we have so fortunate that Srila Prabhupada has came to the West to give us true understanding of Krishna consciousness, true understanding of God, true understanding of our eternal relationship, a true understanding of where we're really meant to be. We're so fortunate because Srila Prabhupada is helping us to understand who God is. And God is a person, and he is loving. He's a loving person, you know. And you know, when we go deeper into understanding Krishna consciousness, and we understand that, you know, actually Radha Shyama Sundar cry for the living entities. You know, Radharani, she cries. She cries because she's remembering the living us. She's remembering us in the material world. And that's why Lord, you know, Krishna comes as Lord Chaitanya out of that compassion for us. So when we actually understand through this service, through devotional service, we understand who Krishna is, and we understand, and we become attached to him, his personality, not just him because he's God, but him because he's a loving person, and our real friend and our best friend. Then we can become attached, and we can surrender. And in fact, you know, we want to surrender. We want to surrender everything, because that actually gives the most internal joy. You know, just like this is a natural progression of realization, there's a natural joy that actually manifests after this. You know, there's a natural joy. One just becomes blissful. So all of this is within us. We are, you know, spirit souls already connected to Krishna. But through this process, through lifetimes after lifetimes, many, many births and deaths, we can come to the stage of understanding the ultimate goal, which Krishna says here. The ultimate goal, knowing him to be the cause of all causes. And we can see that we're in such a fortunate position. We're in such a fortunate position. And so we can continue to, you know, utilize everything that we have, try, you know, to utilize everything that we have and everything that we are in service to Krishna. And that way continue on advancing in our Krishna consciousness. So we just have about 5 minutes left. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
Next class, Mataji.
Thank you.
In the discussion, you asked one question: why we have to surrender?
Why?
Why we have to surrender?
Why we have to surrender?
Because things are happening not according to wish. Why we have to surrender?
Mm-hmm.
Things are not happening according to my wish.
Yeah.
If I proposes, he disposes.
Yeah.
So ultimately, I'm not happy.
Yeah.
Why I have to surrender?
Right. So you're asking the question, why do I have to surrender? Because if I ask for something, he doesn't give? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
So why should I surrender? Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a really good question. It's a really good question. Yes, because you know, we have our limited vision, right? Because we are still trying to purify our heart and purify our mind, and therefore we have limited vision. We only see to a certain point, right? Like you cannot see what's beyond this wall, right? You may know what's beyond this wall, but can you see through it? Right? You cannot see into this table, you can't see through this wall. So we have our senses, you know, our perceptions are limited. We're very limited. Our mind is limited. So we see something like this. Yeah, we see our life in our bubble, right? And that's okay. It's just, it's not a bad thing. It is what it is, right? We just see our life through our own perception, through our own past, conditioning. What we believe, right, comes from our past. How the samskaras that we have growing up in childhood, they leave impressions on our mind. And these impressions create our vision. They create our perception, these belief systems, what we feel, what we think, based on what we've experienced in the past. Yeah, they create the way we are. That's why we're all so different, because we've all had different experiences in life. So then, through that perception, we see our life in a certain way based on that, right? And for devotees, it's no different unless we're completely purified. It's no different. We still have a mind. We still have our karma to some degree, and we have our past. So we see limited, right? But then Krishna sees in the ultimate sense. He knows past, present, future. Trikaliya, right? Sorry?
Krishna is limitless.
Exactly. He's limitless, and his vision is limitless. He can see beyond our bubble, right? So if we are asking for something and we think, through our perception, we think that we need something, or we want something, we may even think, look, this is going to help our service. Krishna, this is going to help me serve better. Why are you not giving it to me? I'm chanting, I'm coming here every day, I'm crying, why? Why should I surrender to you? You're not listening, or, you're not giving me what I want. But ultimately, he sees past, present, and future. So he knows, right? He's within our heart, and he's in everything, and he sees everything. So he knows whether this thing, if I give it, is it going to deter this soul away from me? Is it going to really help him or her? Yeah. So he sees from above. We see within our bubble. So we may think this is what I need, but then ultimately Krishna sees in the higher sense. And also, through not giving us something, he's actually testing our faith. Yeah, he's testing our faith to see if I give it, is he or she going to leave me? Or how long, if I don't give it, how long is this person going to still serve me? And that's tested, because why? Srila Prabhupada says such surrendered great souls are very rare. That's why they're very rare. Because when we don't get something, we walk away. When we don't get something that we think that we need, we walk away. That's why these surrendered souls are very, very rare. Srila Prabhupada says they're very rare. Because we see within our perception, and we demand, or we hanker, and that's because we're not surrendered, ultimately, right? Although it comes in stages, we're not going to get there overnight, but it's a rare thing. But Krishna will test whether will this person still stay, or will they leave? If I don't give it, and if I do give it, will they stay or will they leave? Krishna sees higher, and he also sees our spiritual advancement, not just our material situation.
That's what I'm asking, why I have to surrender. That is the reason why I have to surrender.
Why?
Why I have to surrender.
But you don't have to. This is all voluntary, you don't have to. You have free will, you don't have to surrender. But Srila Prabhupada is explaining in here that through many births, many lifetimes, this living entity comes to stages of realization that these things just become naturally, automatically aware of, I instead of detaching myself from everything, I'll use everything in Krishna's service. So these things are it's a natural progression, but you don't have to surrender. No one is saying, Krishna doesn't say you have to. So you have free will, soul has free will. You don't have to surrender. It's when it comes naturally, you will surrender.
spiritually mature, you realize that you won't need to surrender.
That you want to surrender, yeah. Yeah.
It's
That,
like, just example, like a child likes candy and they say, oh, I can make my meal out of it. And he thought, it's good. Parents say, no, you can't eat that all of it.
yeah.
They know that he will get sick. But he will find out that when he grows up, until that time, so we have to grow up in the spiritually, then we realize that we need to surrender.
Yeah, that's a good point. And actually want to surrender. And also, surrender, it comes in stages as well. You know, we surrender a bit, we still have material attachments, and then we realize automatically, because this process is purifying our heart without us having to do anything. We don't have to do anything. We chant sincerely with sincere heart, and these things just naturally develop. So we don't have to. We don't have to do anything. In fact, Krishna doesn't want somebody to be forced to love him. He wants it naturally, you know. So yeah, it's a natural process, and so yeah, let's not force anyone or force ourselves. Just be sincere, and everything will happen in its own time. So we'll end now. So thank you so much for your comments. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.